In this video, I discuss 5 excellent reasons why you should rent your home in retirement. Coming up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
There's a lot of financial information out there that suggests that retirees should own their home in retirement. And in many instances, this is correct, but not always. This video discusses some of the exceptions to the rent versus own rule for retirees. Before we begin, please make sure you click subscribe and notifications so that you get alerted the next time I post a video. I post about twice a week. All right, let's get into it. Reason number 1 not to own is lifestyle. For many people, retirement is the first time since early adulthood where they have flexibility in where they can live. They worked hard their entire adult lives, they provided a nice home for their children in many cases, and maybe those children don't even live in town anymore. Retirement is the first time for many people that they can actually just get up and go. So why would they want to do this? Well, first, moving to a location that's closer to their kids. The fact is, when your children are grown up, they too have commitments. They are building their own lives, and they are far less mobile than their parents. Your ability to move them is far greater than their ability to stay with you. The second reason is because you would go to find a cheaper location. Georgia, for example, is a wonderful state. It's close to Atlanta, which is a thriving metropolis, and the surrounding suburbs are incredible. It also happens to be one of the top 10 least expensive states in the country. Perhaps you want to leave the country altogether and move to a warmer location like Mexico. Puerto Vallarta has been an expat haven for over 50 years. The urban area runs for 30 miles on the ocean, right on Banderas Bay. It's absolutely stunning. Maybe you want to move to a more exciting location. New York City is opening back up. Broadway, restaurants, art, galleries. Summer in Central Park. It's all there for you right in New York City. But what if you go to these cities and you don't like it? You go there thinking that it's going to be one thing, but you find out that it's another. You find out that your children have their own lives to lead and they can't spend much time with you. You find out that Mexico is a wonderful place, but it's a little more expensive than you had anticipated, at least in Puerto Vallarta. You find out that New York City is great, but because of some of the things that are going on, a lot of the entertainment is still not available to you. This is a big risk that retirees run into when they move to a city where they've never lived before. They go there, they realize their mistake and realize it's time to come home. Or they go there and they spend a few years and enjoy themselves and then move on to the next venue of interest. You don't want to own a home when you're not sure how long you're going to live there. In this case, it makes sense to rent. The next point is upkeep. Owning a home is not hassle-free, and many retirees feel like they've earned the right to live a hassle-free life. Heating and air conditioning goes out, refrigerators break down, and cleaning a big house is anything but hassle-free. Day-to-day maintenance is not for everyone, especially in retirement. By renting versus owning, you transfer all of that responsibility onto the landlord. Your only responsibility is to make your monthly rent payment. If something goes wrong, you make a call and it becomes their problem. If you don't like the way the landlord is handling your situation, you move. Because you don't have to sell the house, it's as simple as letting the lease expire and then signing a new one somewhere else. The next point is accessibility. Some homes were just not made for retirees. Everything is vertical. If you want to put something away in storage, it goes in the attic. If you want to play a game of pool, it's down in the basement. Time to go to bed? That's upstairs. As you get older, stairs go from being something that's almost invisible to something you absolutely dread. But accessibility comes in other forms as well. If you want a swimming pool, but really only want to use it when your grandkids are in town, it makes a lot more sense to rent an apartment and the complex has one pool than to have one installed in your backyard. If you want to throw a party, use the party room in the complex. You don't need to rent out tents and special equipment. It's already there for you. And it's a real safety issue if you have to go outside to get to your car, especially in the winter or at night. It makes a lot more sense to rent an apartment with an indoor garage that's accessible simply by using an elevator. The next reason you would want to rent versus own is that you could take the money from the sale of your house and put it in income-producing assets. Over the last few years, home prices have gyrated wildly up and down, and places like here in New York, they have stayed flat essentially for the last decade. Hardly the stability that someone looks for in what could be the single most valuable asset that they own. Does it make more sense to use that same money from the sale of your home in income-producing assets, conservative income-producing assets, of course? Does it make more sense to use the money there versus in a home whose price may or may not go up? The next point is the big expenses are someone else's. Homes have two types of expenses. The small expenses that cost a bit of money to fix, and the big expenses that cost a lot of money to fix. A new roof, a cracked foundation, replacing all of your mechanicals because they all happen to go out at about the same time. That's just Murphy's Law. And taxes, a major expense. In places like New York, they can be as much as 2.5% of the value of the property. A large portion of that tax goes to funding local schools. If you're in retirement, you probably don't have children in the school system. Finally, if you're considering buying versus renting, the transaction costs of buying a home are pretty significant, as much as 3 or 4% of the value of the home in many places. So you would need to amortize that cost out over the number of years you would consider living in that home. In my next video, I discuss how retirees can cut their retirement expenses by 10% or more. Also, please make sure you click subscribe and notifications so that you get alerted the next time I post a video. Retirement information is changing fast, and I work very hard to get what's out there and here for you. Also, check out this video on the difference between living a rich and a poor retirement, and it's not all about money. This is Jeff Schmidt. Thanks for watching.